Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for telling my sister to shut up about her weight? Okay, so my older sister, 29F, is obese to put it lightly. She's 5'8" and is about 300 pounds. She's very vocal about the fact that she likes the way she is and doesn't want to lose weight, which I don't care about. It's her body. But it gets annoying when she criticizes literally everything for being fatphobic and diet culture. She complains that sugary options cost more than plain options. That clothes stores don't all carry larger sizes. That I order less than her when we go out. When she sees a non-fat person wearing oversized clothes, etc. Now I've been with my current boyfriend for almost a year now. And due to a mix of parental influence, depression and medical issues, he used to be overweight as a kid and teen. Overweight, not obese. In college, he started getting better both with his mental health and his medical condition. He distanced himself from his mother. They have a very toxic relationship and get really into some sports and played on the teams. He's now a healthy weight, and this all happened before I met him. Well, my boyfriend came over this weekend. This would be the first time he's met my sister in person. They talked and everything seemed fine. Until it got a bit later in the evening, when it got a bit cold. So my boyfriend put on his jacket. It's from a band he loved, and he got it when he was a teen, so it was a bit big on him. When my sister saw it, she very loudly started sighing, until our mom asked her what's wrong. She started going on about how it's unfair that privileged skinny people are buying clothes made for larger people, making them harder to find, since companies already don't cater to all body types. My boyfriend shyly replied that he had this before he lost weight, which made my sister roll her eyes and groan, "No, you're one of those people," and started making assumptions like that my boyfriend must push his diet on me and shame others for not working out. It was very clearly making him upset, so I told her to shut up and that not everything is about her or her weight. She left in a bad mood and has now been texting me saying how disappointed she is in me that I'm not siding with her, my sister, and calling my boyfriend some nasty and borderline homophobic names. I've been ignoring her, but maybe I just shouldn't have been as rude as I was. IDK. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA, she doesn't actually like how she is. But instead of doing the work to change it, she'd rather make it like everyone else has the issue when they don't. She needs to get a personality other than about her weight. I was thinking the same. Read the post, and I was like, huh. Sounds like Op's sister hates herself. She's trying too hard to make it seem like she loves her body. NTA. Your sister picked a fight with him over a t-shirt and then got mad when he mentioned he lost weight after buying the t-shirt. She is the one that brought up weight, no one else. NTA. Your sister is annoying. Her personality is literally her weight. Am I the antagonist for telling my fiancee she should have sent a decent amount of food? Throwaway. Fake names. My 31 male sister Jean had a baby a few days ago. My fiancée Ali, 28F, said she would cook some food and send it over. I didn't ask her to. She offered. I said sure. She made a small lasagna and some brownies and asked me to drop it off at Jane's the day after she came back home. My mom was at their house when I went. She saw the food and made a comment about how Ali could have sent more. I was pretty embarrassed, but I just said that this is what she made. Mom then says that Ali should have sent enough food for at least a couple of days and that Jane's still recovering. I didn't say much else and came back home. When I saw that Ali was on the phone, she finished talking and immediately went off at me. My mother had called her saying she was lazy. I told her that I didn't say anything to mom. She saw the food and thought it wasn't enough. Ali said that she was sending food for courtesy. To which I replied that Jane was dealing with a new baby and the least she could have done is send a decent amount of food, not this, especially after she herself offered. This reflects badly on me as well. Ali got mad and said I was putting up with my family's behavior. I said she was going too far. Now that of course I'll defend my family. She said she needed a break and went to stay with her sister and hasn't been receiving my calls. Her sister picked up once and cursed me out. Was I acting like a rah? Now for the top comments. AITA, your fiancé did a nice thing and your mom was being nasty about it. You should have shut that shit down immediately. Defend your partner. Don't let your mother treat her like this. Establish these boundaries now before your mom ruins your future marriage. Oh, don't worry, I'm pretty sure he ruined it himself already. AITA, so is your mother. Huge R's. Your fiancé did someone a favor. Talk about ungrateful. I'm glad she went to her sister's. She deserves time away from your rude ass family. I would have ended the engagement after getting a glimpse of the bullshit I'd be marrying into. AITA, and she sent more food than you did. What did you make your sister? Since you aren't lazy like you XGF/S. I'm just seeing a really toxic mommy-son relationship the more I read the comments. I would bet anything that the mother doesn't ask for her male children to do anything and gives constant shitty to her female children for not being a woofy kind of servant. Am I the antagonist for ignoring an autistic guy on my flight? Am I the antagonist for ignoring an autistic guy on my flight? I'm a 19F who was traveling alone on an 11-hour flight today, and a guy in his 20s is in the same row as me. I was exhausted because I only got 4 hours of sleep before the flight, so I could sleep on the plane. But this guy, we'll call him C, keeps trying to make conversation. C starts off by telling me he's autistic, and then asking me if I like K-pop, and he keeps non-stop talking and rarely gives me a chance to speak. Not that I wanted to. I tried to be polite because I have ADHD and I understand how social cues are difficult, so he probably can't tell I'm not in the mood. Over the course of the next 20 minutes I tell C maybe 5 times I want to sleep and put my headphones on, and each time C begins speaking to me after maybe 2 minutes of silence. Finally I was able to sleep for around 4 hours. But when I woke up C started up again. I'm still really tired. And I had some personal issues a day before my flight, so I'm also socially exhausted. But I'll let him talk for a bit before I start watching a show on my phone. I tell him maybe 5 separate times that I'm trying to watch a show and that I'm not interested in talking to him right now, but maybe later. C still keeps trying to talk to me, and when I snap a bit and tell him I'm getting a bit annoyed, he goes into a full-on self-hating "I'm so sorry, I'm horrible, God, I'm just gonna shut up now" rant. And I feel bad because I should have been nicer to him, and I can understand emotions being too strong and spiraling. I tell C that it's okay and I just want some time to myself as I'm not the chattiest person, but maybe later we can talk. I put my headphones on and watched my show, but C kept trying to speak to me, but this time I ignored him, which was honestly a shitty move from me, but I just didn't have the energy at this point to interact with him. This was the wrong move, as he moved to get out of the row and stood in the aisle and began yelling at me. I didn't catch everything he said, but it was along the lines of "Why can't women believe not all men are bad? Some men are on your side. I'm a nice guy. Why are you ignoring me?" He storms off to the bathroom and I take that chance to ask a flight attendant if I can change my seat because he really freaked me out and I didn't want to have a panic attack on a plane. The flight attendants were amazing and got my stuff and moved me far away from him. I feel like I'm tar because he does have autism and I could have been more patient maybe, and ignoring him was a shit thing to do. Edit. I will be replying from my main account, which is Rowan Bambi. Now for the top comments. NTA. I'm autistic and honestly the last plane trip some non-autistic guy was doing the same thing to me, except he kept touching me too. Literally touching me. No, guy didn't think to ask about moving. We'll do that next time. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I hope you are feeling better. NTA. You were nice. You asked him politely. He didn't listen. So instead of wasting your breath, you did the next best thing, and that was to ignore him. It's not your fault that he had a breakdown. Op was polite and direct, while she didn't yell at him "stop talking to me," which seems to be what folks who thought she wasn't direct enough think she should have done. She handled the situation with kindness. She said she didn't want to chat with him. That should have been enough. But creepy dude took her kindness to be an invitation to steamroll right over her reasonable boundary and blamed it on his claimed ASD and opus. I wish she had felt comfortable enough to have reached out to a flight attendant sooner to be moved. But she did, as soon as she felt an opportunity. Ops situation reminds me about this scene in the first episode of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. Cindy, I didn't want to be rude so here we are. She says. Laura, I'm always amazed at what women will do, because they're afraid of being rude. Apostrophe. Am I the antagonist for telling my dad cheating is what got us here, not my mom? My parents divorced when I was 7 after my mom found out dad had been cheating on her for 5 years with someone she considered to be her friend. The reveal of the affair came during my birthday party, which we celebrated late because dad made up some story about an old friend dying and going to the funeral when he was actually with her for an ultrasound after learning she was pregnant. My mom never got over what they did to her. I think what made it worse is 2 people betrayed her instead of 1. Because if our friends are willing to hurt us like this, then we are screwed. My dad married his affair partner. They have 6 children together now. My mom has stayed away from them as much as humanly possible. She told me a long time ago that she loved me, wanted me to be happy, and loved and not to be distant from them for her. But that she would never be able to play happy families with my dad and his wife and their kids, because some hurts are too deep and painful to move on from. When stay in place was ordered, things between my mom and dad deteriorated after my dad asked if mom would take his other 6 kids into her home so the siblings could see each other, since both he and his wife were frontline workers and had planned to send them somewhere to limit their exposure. Mom said hell no. She was pissed as hell at dad for asking, while dad was pissed as hell that she didn't force me to go to his in-laws to spend time with my siblings while we weren't legally allowed to meet up with others. Things are the same now, only my mom suffered less financially through the pandemic. After a while my dad and his wife left their jobs when it got too much and their financial stability took a huge hit. My dad can't afford to throw a graduation party for me, which is fine. But he and his family are not welcome to the one my mom is hosting. He was bitching about them missing out on celebrating with me because of my mom. I told him it was because of his affair and not my mom. That he was the one who betrayed her over and over again. Disrespected her and then expected her to act like none of that happened so he could act like the good guy. He told me it had been a decade and my mom and I should be over it, and I should not have taken sides. I told him he should have kept the affair from me then instead of letting it come out for me to hear. Am I the antagonist? AITA. But another element of this story is that the affair first started after my mom almost died losing my sibling. The pregnancy went badly wrong and almost took her, and did take her chance to have more children. All the while her husband and friend were getting together behind her back. Now for the top comments. NTA. I thought the first part was bad enough, but then got to the part where your dad wanted your mum to look after his 6 kids, one of which was conceived while he was still married to your mum. He's incredibly insensitive and clearly doesn't think he ever did anything wrong. Good for you for sticking up for your mum and not taking your dad's bullshit. That's not even the worst part. The worst part is the affair started after my mom lost my sibling and became unable to have more children after it. She almost died, and my dad went and fucked one of her friends. And one of her friends fucked her husband while my mom was grieving and recovering. NTA. But holy shit, your dad is bad. Messing up that bad and not even being able to take responsibility for his actions. Kudos to your mom for being so open, supportive and honest with you. Congratulations for your graduation BTW. Op said it makes him 10 times worse. He's disgusting. Am I the antagonist for telling my sister that I don't care about her nor her baby after what she did? English is my second language, so bear with me. For context, my father abandoned us when I was just 11 months. He came to the US, we're originally from El Salvador, to give us a better future. He sold our house to pay for his trip and left. He vanished as soon as he got here. My mother was left alone to struggle with both my sister, 3 at that time, and me. She was left homeless with 2 small children. We never had a stable home. We kept moving back and forth from my grandma's and aunt's place. There were times when we would go hungry for days. We would share one scrambled egg between the 3 of us. This went on for 13 years. My father never reached out to us. He never called on birthdays nor to talk to us. He completely forgot about us. 6 years ago my mother saved enough money for us to move to the US due to gang threats. My father knew we were here in the US. My grandma told him. But I never reached out to us. 2 years ago my sister met a guy 11 years older than her. My mother asked her to stop seeing him since he wasn't good enough for her. Mind you, this man had his eyes on my sister since she was 16. She's 21 ATM. He had already been married to her 18-year-old, but his marriage failed. Mind you, the guy is very manipulative. My mother didn't approve of him and told my sister to stop seeing him. My sister got mad and one day she left home without saying anything. She stole my phone that I had bought with my hard-earned money and proceeded to block me on all social media. We haven't talked in 2 years. Last year we found out that she was getting married to the guy who's 11 years older than her. My mother and I weren't invited to her wedding, but you know who was? Our father. The same father that abandoned us all those years ago. The same man that didn't give a crap about his children starving. Apparently he now wants to part of our life. Now that both my sister and I are of age. Now that he has no obligation to us, he wants to be part of our life. I told him to fuck off. I thought my sister was going to do the same, but a guy was wrong. When I found out that she invited that man to her wedding and not our mother, I lost it. I created a new Facebook page and told her that she was dead to me. She told me that she was pregnant and I said that I didn't care. Both her and her child were dead to me. She told me I was an R and blocked me. I might have overreacted, but I'm just so mad. My mother is devastated and cries constantly. The fact that she chose to invite a man that didn't care for her to her wedding infuriates me. She didn't even tell us she was getting married. We found out by other relatives. She's dead to me. So tell me, am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. No, you are not the a-hole. It is plain and simple as that. Also, considering it's the sister that keeps blocking Op, it's time for Op to move the fuck on with his life and forget about all the people who've hurt him. NTA. Isn't it funny? You hear this kind of thing all the time. Children letting their deadbeat children back into their lives and abandoning the very people that gave everything for them. Your sister did the same as your father. Left and abandoned you and your mom because she wanted what she wanted. She is now getting married and having a baby and cannot accept you to be happy and thrilled for her. You have no emotional or any other obligation towards her or her unborn child. Cut all contact. You don't need her or your father in your lives. I won't judge here, but damn, that is such a shit show. I would probably have acted the same. Besides that, stay strong for your mom as she needs support the most right now. For your sister, red flags everywhere, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her again 3 years later. Maybe you have a change of heart towards her then, but for now that shouldn't matter. NTA. You can't force a relationship just because you share blood. I get it. You don't owe them anything. So you deserve to do what makes you feel better. Am I the antagonist for helping my niece run away? I, F30, helped my niece, F16, run away. I live around 4 hours away from my brother, his wife and his children, including my niece. I have personally cut off that part of the family due to their misogyny. When I was 13, I went to my brother asking his opinion on this cute feminist top. It was hot pink, with woman written all over it. I wanted to get it because me and my friends were all getting them. However, when I asked him if I could get it, he spent 3 hours saying how men have it worse than women. I am not saying they don't. They do in certain scenarios. Women and men both have their issues. He also kept saying how embarrassing it is for him as a man to have someone in his family who is feminist. He also ended up saying a lot of homophobic and racist things which made me uncomfortable. When I told my parents about this, they ended up dismissing it and saying we just have different political views and my brother wouldn't hurt a fly and that he is the sweetest. Throughout the rest of my childhood, me and my brother had no relationship, and he would make fun of me for being sexually harassed, saying it's nothing compared to what he has been through. My parents of course did nothing. I only know my niece and that part of the family because I do visit during Christmas and avoid my brother. Yesterday, I got a call from my niece saying how my brother is threatening to disown her and leave her on the street because she is lesbian. I admit I was really angry. I knew my brother was homophobic, but I expected he would be a decent human being to his own children. So I helped her. I drove to my brother's home. While I helped her bring her clothes into my car, he yelled at me and told me I should keep my nose away from his business. He even had the audacity to call my niece crazy. And following a trend, I ignored him while driving away with my niece in the car. When I got home the day after, I got a lot of angry calls from my parents and my brother's family. I know my niece is way safer under my roof, but I feel I'll let my anger control me and I should been more careful with the situation. Am I the antagonist? Edit. Me and my niece have been very touched reading all of your very kind messages. Thank you so much for the advice and everything. I will make sure to update when I have everything sorted. Thank you again. Now for the top comments. NTA. My brother is threatening to disown her and leave her on the street because she is lesbian. He's just angry because you have made it impossible for him to bully his daughter. What a lowlife. But be careful. You may be faced with legal issues. You might want to speak with a lawyer about how best to move forward. Can you file for emergency custody of her? Not the a-hole. Okay, thank you. I'll try that as soon as possible. NTA. Your niece is 16 years old. That's old enough to decide to leave your homophobic, verbally abusive father's house.